Welcome to the first. You have a story. If you look back on your life, you've done things for the first time that no one in your family, in your town, in the country has done. This is Dr. Sandi. You have unknowingly paved the way for others without knowing it or even acknowledging it. This is where you tell your story so that those who come after you can walk in your footsteps to build their own firsts. Hey everybody, it's the first podcast with Dr. Sandi, and today my guest is Paul Lamar Hunter. Paul is the blessed 19th child of the first woman in history who birthed 21 children by her husband, 11 girls and 10 boys. His parents produced 63 grandchildren and 87 great-grandchildren. His mother was pregnant for 15 years in total, with about 6 weeks in between pregnancies. As number 19, his older siblings helped to raise and discipline him, but he was the first to break a generational curse on both sides of the family. That curse was the lack of valuing education and finding it unimportant. He became the first to graduate from college, paving the way for the next 2 generations who earned higher level degrees. Read about it in his book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. Paul's message is don't magnify your circumstances, magnify your God. You can reach Paul on Facebook at authorpaullamar.hunter, on Instagram as Paul Lamar Hunter, and which is also his website, paullamarhunter.com. And I also have his mom's book, nolovenoCharity.com. Please welcome Paul. Hey everybody, this is Dr. Sandi. This is the podcast, The First with Dr. Sandi. Today, my guest is Paul Lamar Hunter. And Paul's going to tell me all about himself and his first and share that with our audience today. And let's jump into it. Paul, tell me a little bit about yourself. Welcome. Welcome, first of all.
Hey, thank you for having me on as a guest and to share this remarkable story. And I think your viewers and the audience is going to be taken aback because my mother is the first woman in history. When I say this, she made history by birthing 21 children by my dad. 17 of us living today, 63 grandchildren and 87 great grandchildren. And I must tell you this, my mom and dad was getting it on all the time. I think my mom had a high sex drive and my dad had a high sex drive, boy. They was just getting it on all the time. When it was free time or when it was nighttime, they got it on.
Paul, how many years in between? Like, did they space the kids out like 3 years apart or every year? Like, how within this time span from first child to last child, how many years was that?
Well, let me tell you this. You know, when you come from a big family, you can't have years of breaks. So like I said, my mom had a high sex drive. My dad had a high sex drive. Every time my mom delivered a baby, my dad would wait 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, he was back at it. They were back at it, boy. And then 6 weeks again. Oh, she's pregnant. Let's do it again. So
really?
if you ever do the math, my mom stayed pregnant. Listen to this, for 15 straight years. My mom is so remarkable. She has more championships than Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Magic Johnson, because she had 21 children and it took her 15 straight years. You know, I was reading this women's magazine and they were saying back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s, and 90s, it took a woman 6 weeks for her body to totally heal.
Yes.
But innovation has changed. So for one birth that a woman had coming up, it takes 18 months for the body to fully recover. So my mother body really haven't fully recovered until she stopped having babies after 15 years. So to me, that was just astonished. It astonished me to learn that information about a woman's.
What number are you in the line?
I'm the blessed number 19. Number 19 is always smiling. Number 19 is always shining. Number 19 is just blessed. Number 19 is a thinker. Number 19 is a visionary person. Number 19 is very creative. So there's power in the number.
Is this, Paul, because you had 18 people before pouring into you, pouring knowledge and pouring jokes and, giving you knowledge of what they had gone through? 18 people. So how could you not be like you are?
I know. And that's the reason why I give a lot of credit to my mom, my dad, and my siblings, because they really had poured a lot into me. And I always acknowledge my siblings and my mom and my dad, because if it weren't for my mom and dad and my siblings, I wouldn't be here doing this interview with you.
That is so true. And while you were growing up, did you think it was unusual to have that many siblings? Like people around you, like I have 2 siblings, and to me that was a fight. Like a brother and a sister. How did that work out?
Well, I thought it was strange to see people with 2 and 3 families, siblings, and I thought that was just bizarre. And here I am. I'm like, oh wow, I got a lot of siblings, and they got 2 or 3 or 4
for them.
And, yeah, for them. And I'm like, wow. But one thing I can say about having a big family, especially a lot of siblings. My mom birthed 11 girls and 10 boys. So one thing I can say that is very true: nobody in the neighborhood never messed with the Hunter family. We never got picked on in the neighborhood. So it was like, nope, it's too many of them. If you fight one, you got to fight all. So I'm not messing with them Hunter kids over there, because they got too much. They have an army over there. They have a football team. They have a baseball team over there. So I'm going to stay in my lane. So a lot of people in the neighborhood stayed in their lane.
I understand that. Growing up in Brooklyn, you try to not even pick a fight if you don't have to, but you don't want to pick a fight with the people with a lot of kids, bigger kids than you are. Like you had your criteria of picking a fight, right? But so some of these siblings that you had, did they act like second parents to you?
Man, my older sister still to this day act like my mama. She is my older sister. She's about to be 71. And so my baby sister is 50 years old. So you see the gap. And so I remember being raised by my older siblings, in the 21st child and the 20th child and the 19th child, which is me. We all made a pact that once we got big, we was going to beat up our older siblings because of some of the spankings that they gave us, and making sure that we did chores around the house. So we wanted to get back at them. And I remember that when we became adults, and my baby sister, Lashana, used to say, now let's get them. And I'm like, no, we deserve it back. We deserve that little spanking back then. No, let's get them. We made a pact to get at them. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, But she wanted to get back at my older siblings for, making us do chores and also disciplining us. Well, back then they call it a good whooping. So that's what we got, a good whooping.
You had to pick your own switch.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Mom and dad always. You ever saw the movie Walking the Green Mile? So, so when we did something Mom and dad would have us go in the backyard and pick our own switch. And do you know we were walking very, very slow? And mom would say, speed it up. Because you know I got something to do.
Where were you living at the time?
We were living in Racine, Wisconsin. We were living in Racine, Wisconsin. That's where we were raised, in Racine, Wisconsin.
And now that's a town of a lot of white people.
Oh, so, most definitely.
So you
but
stood out in all forms, not just being Black people, but the Black family with the 21 kids.
Yes.
And how was it in school? How was how was that in school?
Well, in school it was totally different because we all went to the same, basically the same middle school in a group. We all went to the same high school in a group. So it was challenging for us academically because our parents didn't have the education, but our older siblings had the education. So we will go home and do homework with our older siblings because they did it before. And so our older siblings would teach us basic skills when it came to math and reading and science. And so they did a good job of assisting us. That's the reason why a lot of my older siblings had to forego their education, but they laid the foundation. My older siblings really did lay the foundation, but they were able to go back and receive their GED, and some of them were able to go back and receive their high school diploma.
Nice. I mean, like I said, they poured into you, these siblings, because I'm sure by the time they got older, they realized what they didn't have and made sure that the younger ones got it. And most
definitely, they did a lot of pouring into us when it came to our academics, when it came to us in the community, making sure that we had the skill set, the mindset, and the ability to do well in society, to be productive young men and women in society. And that's why you will always hear me say that I give a lot of credit to my older siblings.
What kind of occupations did they go into? What did your parents do, and what did your older siblings do?
My father had worked at an engine plant. He worked for Case Company, and he also worked for Bale City. So my father worked 16 hours a day. My mother, even though she made history by giving birth to 21 children, she also made history by starting the first homeless shelter in the state of Wisconsin, Love and Charity homeless shelter. She was a director for that facility for 45 straight years. So when she started that facility, she was 3 months pregnant with me. So, and also my older siblings today, a lot of them are retired. Some of them work in the hospital logistics. Some of them are secretaries. Some of them are truck drivers. I have a brother that's a pastor, retired bus driver, but he also is a pastor of a church. So a lot of my brothers and sisters, they have jobs and they are doing things that keeping them out of trouble.
And what do you do, Paul?
I have my own business.
Besides tell jokes about your parents.
No, I have my own business on the side, PLH, public relations. So I'm in the business of PR. Also, I work in logistics at a hospital here in San Antonio, Texas, as well. So I am grinding 16 hours a day.
And how do you share with your next generation? What, 87 87 grandkids. How many grandkids you said there were?
It's 63 grandchildren and 87 great grandchildren. And what I share with them is a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because I want them to know that my brothers and sisters that grew up in the home with me, we had it tough. You understand? There were times where we didn't have any Christmas gifts, and unexpected people would knock at the door to leave gifts for the Hunter family. And so we have been blessed to have miracles happen. I remember a time where the Racine Sheriff officers came to my mom's house and told my mom that she had 72 hours to leave because there was too many people living in the house. The next day, a miracle happened. A man came knocking on the door. He gave my mom and dad an 18-bedroom house just for $1. So I can go over and over the miracles that happen in the Hunter family life. And so I'm grateful for great men and women that helped us. You know, yes, we had some bad times, but you know what? The good times always outweigh the bad times. And that's the reason why I am so honored to be on your show and share my story, to let people know that I don't care what your circumstances are. You cannot magnify your circumstances. What you have to do is magnify your God, because God will bring you out of some darkness and into a world of light, of positive men and women that will encourage you. They will lift you up, and they can be great mentors into your life and make you the person that God has designed for you to be.
Absolutely. I think when he does that, it's incumbent upon us to also become the mentors, like the people who mentored us, that we should turn around and give back. You know, people gave to us, and we've got to turn around and give back to the next generation. So for your 100 and I don't know how many, nieces, nephews, and the grandnieces and nephews, what are they doing today to show you that, they understand where you're coming from?
Well, since I have been the first out of 21 children that my mom birthed to graduate from college, I had to break a lot of what people would call family curse, a lot of bad traditions, by becoming the first to graduate from college with a bachelor's.
What are some of those kind of curses, generational curses you have to break?
Well, it's that education was never important in our home. Mom and dad just wanted us to get by. And sometimes you just can't get by. You just cannot get by. You just have to say enough is enough. I'm not going to get by anymore. I'm not going to struggle anymore. I'm going to change the game. I'm going to lay the foundation that education is important. And so it's important to me. It might not be important to you, but it is important to me. So when I looked at my mom's lineage and looked at my dad's lineage, I said, no one graduated from college, but I can lay the foundation and be the first to graduate from college. Now, since I graduated from college and laid that foundation, a lot of my nieces and nephews have graduated college. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They have bachelor's degrees, they have master's degrees, they have PhD degrees, and they are doing extremely well. But they understand that Paul Lamar Hunter, had to lay the foundation. That education is important, that if you put your mind to it, you can do anything.
Anything. Anything. My grandmother always told me that too. You could do anything you want. She used to say, everybody could be a doctor. It might take some 4 years of medical school, and it might take some 40 years of medical school, but can do it at your own pace, and you can do it. So I always thought about that.
Yeah, and you know what? I have to piggyback on what you just said right there. Is because I remember Ebony Magazine did a story on me, and that title was Rooted in Drama. See, a lot of people today are rooted in drama. In order to get out of that drama, you have to separate yourself from all of those negative people that you have been surrounded with, your environment, and you just have to separate yourself. And when Ebony did that article, I had posted it on Facebook, and people were going at it on Facebook, congratulating me. And one lady had said, well, it took him 15 years to graduate. And this guy responded, and he said, it doesn't matter. He graduated.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He graduated. And she said, why don't you get off this feed? And he said, I'm not, because it doesn't matter. What have you been doing in those 15 years?
Yes.
You see where he was going with this? What have you been doing in those 15 years? You know, it was my moment. It was my moment.
Yes.
I got more positive than I got more negative.
And one person, and all it takes is one person to start something.
Yes. But it backfired.
You know, and people don't understand the underlying reasons why it might take so long. Like, they never ask, why does it take so long? It took me a long time to graduate from college. My mom only had 3 kids, but she was also the first in her family to come to America from Jamaica. And with that came an obligation to send money back to Jamaica. She had us very young. She didn't do the high school thing. She got a GED, but she was always into learning, always, never stopped learning somehow. And so when it came time for my brother's older than I am, to go to school, we all decided as a family, we're going to pour everything into my brother. Like, if one of us get through college, then we can turn around and help the other one, right? Because she wasn't making enough money at the time to send us to college. So my brother wound up getting a partial scholarship to Columbia University. And we were living in Brooklyn at the time, so he could travel. You know, he didn't go away, all his friends were going away to college. There was none of that. We didn't have money to send him away, but he did get train fare to get on the train and go up to Columbia. And so, you know, when it became my turn, I was working and helping out. And I was going to college full-time and working full-time. But at some point, something has to give. It got to the point where my college didn't have the classes that I needed in the evenings. They only had it in the daytime. So I wound up switching colleges. I would take one class here as it comes up, and I needed a daytime class. I would switch to a school that gave it at night. So I went through several colleges before I even decided I need to find a college where I could be consistent and go consistently. And this took years. It was not an overnight thing. Sometimes I took one class a semester or one class, you know, just to make sure I kept it up. But when I landed a corporate job, a bigger corporate job, that company paid 100% tuition. They also gave me the time off, because I was going to school on the weekends, and I had to go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they allowed me to work from home so that I can go to school on Fridays. And in addition to that, they started the first I guess what we call, on Fridays, you got Friday, you work from home and you wear your jeans and stuff. They
Yes,
started
casual Friday.
casual day.
Yeah.
They started that. And so they were very forward thinking in thinking of their employees. So I would work a 40-hour work week from Monday through Thursday. And then I had Fridays to go to school, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's how I finished school. And it took me, I'd have to do math. Don't ask me that. I have to do math to calculate how long it took me. But people don't see that side, right? When they're telling you, oh, it took you 15 years. It probably took me about close to that. But they don't see that side of the struggle. They just see where you are now and put their own thinking and their own thoughts into that. But because it took me that long, I really valued my education, Paul. And I went on. That school also paid for my MBA. So not only did I finish, college, I went on and finished business school as well, right? So when people are talking about all this stuff, they really need to start thinking about the whys.
Yes,
and
yes.
how you overcame that. The struggle you went through or I went through to be persistent and keep going when we know we have an end in mind, and we didn't stop, we didn't falter, right? So that's a good answer for some of those naysayers who are out there. There are always going to be some of those.
Yeah, but I never did let it stop me, because after Ebony did that news article on me, I was able to go on the Morning Blend. I did a interview with Vivica A. Fox with her national talk show, Face the Truth. I was in countless newspapers and magazine publications. And so my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child, has been adapted into a screenplay. I signed with Tail Flicks. And so we are in the process of getting the team together and getting this movie out and getting it completed in the next couple of years. So just because a person negative comment came out, you see, it did not determine my future. It did not stop me. I'm still moving forward in spite of difficulties, in spite of negativity. I'm going to move forward. And so people that are listening to this interview, they need to understand, in spite of your circumstances, you might be sick, you might have financial problems, you might not be the best talented person, but you can persevere. All you have to do is surround yourself with positive men and women and never be afraid to ask for help, because that's what smart people do. Smart people ask for help. Dumb people are silent, but smart people ask for help. So if you want to become successful, ask questions and ask for help.
Yes, I help women to form advisory boards, because when you have people in your business on a board that are helping you, experts who are helping you, how could you fail? You try even harder just to live up to their expectations, because if they're giving you their time for free, they want to make sure you succeed just as much as you do, or even sometimes more than you do. So I say helping, I turn around and I help others as well. Mentoring, how do you, Paul, help other people to find success or to look for succeeding?
Well, what I do, I always give back to the community. I'm a big advocate of the Boys and Girls Club. So I like to talk to at-risk youth. I'm a huge fan of the Boys and Girls Club. So you will always catch me at the Boys and Girls Club talking to at-risk youth. I want to pour my story into them. I want to pour positivity into them. I want them to know, so what, you had a bad breakup, so what, you came from poverty. I came from poverty. I came from a bad neighborhood, but look at me now.
That's right.
So Never let your past determine your future. Always remain positive. If you want to be productive and you want to change your mind, it starts up here. It really starts with the mind. I'm not going to surround myself with positive. I'm not going to surround myself with negative men and women. I'm going to surround myself with positive men and women, people that are trying to elevate in life. That's what we need to do as men and women. When we see people that's going to challenge us and they are elevating, we need to jump on the ladder of success and keep climbing and keep climbing and keep climbing. You might not reach the top, but if you keep climbing and keep climbing, you will reach the top.
Preach, Brother Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming straight out of God's mouth, I swear, because I truly believe in what you just said. Never stop trying. And I don't believe in failure. I say this to people all the time. I don't believe in failure. I think it's just a try. You try something. If it doesn't work, you learn from it and you go back and try it again if you so desire. But I don't really look at things as, oh, there's a big fail. I failed at this. I'm never going to do it again. That's not, it's a learning. That might not be the thing I'm good at doing, right? So how does your family, do they celebrate all this notoriety that you're getting now?
When I first started to experience success, a lot of my brothers and sisters were very upset. They did not like some of the statements that I made in my book. But once they began to read the book, it was healing for them. It was cathartic for them.
So good.
And it helped them out in a tremendous way. And so sometimes you have to read the information and not hear it from secondhand information. And so once they read the book, it brought a lot of healing into their lives. And they are much better now because a lot of my brothers and sisters, they have been on national talk shows with me. And that is something that they can always tell their kids. You can always pull that up in the archives and say, look, I was on this national talk show. I was in this magazine, Ebony Magazine. It's the #1 Black magazine in the world. It's legacy being developed and left behind for the next generation.
And that's why I like these podcasts, because you can listen to it years from now and understand what goes on. Someone said to me, I took my podcast and I linked it to my family tree. I have an online family tree with my heritage, and I put my podcast on there so that the generation, the family could listen to it, and it will always be there. It's just part of who we are now, right? And what we did. And she also said she recorded her grandparents, which I wish I did, recorded her grandparents and kept the recordings, because all the things about the family, and this is something spectacular that you did for your family. You single-handedly gave them the courage and the impetus to go for an education, and it impacted generations, at least 2 generations that you know of.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to move from generation to generation. And you know what? I'm just excited because I know the movie is going to get done, and that's going to be a legacy right there, where even my children and also my grandchildren will say, wow, I never knew my grandpa went through that situation in life and he let it all go. And so there's a lot of people that are hurting. There's a lot of people that don't have hope. And I want to inform them, just surround yourself with positive men and women, somebody that's going to love on you, encourage you, build you up, make sure that you are headed in the right direction, someone that's going to give you guidance, someone that's going to give you structure, someone that's going to lift you up when you are down. And that's what a lot of people need today. They need a lot of encouragement.
Yes.
Somebody that's going to just totally just elevate them, build them up and say, now fly like an eagle, fly like an eagle.
Yes.
And if you fall, I'm there to help you get back up.
Yes. Yes. So we never discussed how many children do you have, Paul?
Oh, I have 11 kids by 11 different white women. Oh, I'm just joking with you. I have 4 children, 2 daughters, 2 sons, and 1 granddaughter. Chloe is her name.
Oh, wow. And so you didn't go the route of your parents in trying to populate your corner of San Antonio.
Oh no. I can't do it. After those 4, I was like, I'm done. I have two adults, girls, and 2 adults, sons. So I was like, I'm done. 2 and 2. I can't do it like my mom and dad. No.
And you know what? It costs a lot more today to raise kids than it did then. So I don't know anyone. Oh, that's not true. There was this woman, Octomom.
Octomom, she had 8.
Was it 8?
Yeah, 4 girls, 4 boys.
But she had like 6 before that, or she had kids before the 8.
Yeah, she had 2. She had 2 before she became Octomom. Yeah.
Yeah.
She had 2.
And everyone was appalled when she gave birth to 8 kids. Everyone's like, why is she doing that? She has no money. She has, because it's much tougher to raise kids these days. I saw this interview. It was in one of the papers, all that she went through after she decided to have those kids. And she actually said she wanted kids her whole life. She was an only child. And that was her way. She became addicted to having kids. And she's not sorry that she did, but she was sorry that she went through all that she went through because of the kids, because she wasn't prepared to take care of them financially.
Yes.
So very interesting.
Well, my mother came from a family of 9. So I don't know what made her want to have 21 children, but she did.
Have you ever asked her why did you not stop having kids at a certain time?
Yeah, she would always say that as long as God give her the ability to have kids, she was going to continue to have them until God say enough is enough. And I guess 21 is a lucky number to say enough is enough.
In Jamaica, Jamaican people say you have to have out your lot. It means the same thing. You have what God tells you to have, and he assigned a lot of kids to you. And I guess 21 was assigned to your mom, so she just had out her lot.
Yes, she did. Her and my father.
And what's even more important, did your father have kids before that, like outside kids?
No, he did not. Never did.
Because I know people who've had a lot of kids, but with different people.
Mm-mm. No, it was just all with my dad. That's why I tell people all the time. They was like, no adoption? Your dad? Nope. It was all by my mom. They like, wow. And you get guys, today that have multiple kids by different women. But I think that in that era, my mom and dad and that family tradition back then is totally different from now. They stuck together. When it was bad time, they rally around each other. Yeah. They stayed together because they know that the good days is always going to outweigh the bad days. They knew that marriage is a fight, and they were going to fight through it. And there was some tough times. I know it was some tough times for my mom and dad, but they stayed through those tough times. And at the end, they my dad passed away, then my mom passed away. So, they had a healthy marriage, but it was some moments where I know from some of my siblings that, yeah, they argue. Yeah, there was a lot of debates in the house,
It's
but
called a
they
marriage.
stayed.
It's
It's
called
called a
a
marriage, and
marriage.
they stayed together. It was never, I'm divorcing you. You
Yeah.
know, I'm a upgrade and get somebody else. It was never that. So I thank God for my mom and dad for sticking through the bad times, because in today's society today, marriages don't even last over 7 years.
That is true. You're lucky you get through year one. After year one,
Mm.
you're like, and I was talking to my husband the other day, and I said, it takes strong people to be in a marriage. And he's a pastor, right? He's a pastor also. And we were just talking about the art of marriage, because some little things could get on your last nerve that you just say, I'm done. I'll give you an example. He comes out the bathroom soaking wet. He steps on my brand clean rug that I put down, just dripping and soaking, right? And I start to yell, couldn't you have wiped off? Who does this? So this is his habit. We go through this a couple times a week, right? At what point should I say to him, I'm finished with this. I'm going to get somebody who doesn't come out of the shower dripping, but it's the little things that kind of make your marriage and break your marriage, right? And
Yes.
you have to hold on and stay strong through all of that, because it's just so easy to say, I'm done, and go away. So I'm happy for your mom and dad. They held it down.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
So that's anything else you want to share about?
Well, another thing that I want your viewers to go out to get my book, and also go out and get my mom's book. The title of my mom's book is Love and Charity: The Life Story of Louise Hunter in the Love and Charity Homeless Shelter. It was written by Dennis James Woods. That book is available at Barnes and Nobles and Amazon.com. So what did Tail Flick do? The film company, they combined my book with my mom's book, and they completed. We all completed the screenplay together. So we excited to complete the screenplay and get people on board, because I know and I'm very confident that one day you're going to look up and see in a television commercial that this movie is being produced, and when it's going to debut, and you can go out and watch it, and your listeners can go out and watch it. And hopefully I come back on your podcast and say, hey, go out and watch the movie this weekend.
Well, the good thing, Paul, is you don't need actors. You have 80 something. They can be the cast, they can be the crew. You have enough people in your family to make this movie without, hiring any actors at all.
Yes.
I look forward to that. I can't wait for that to come out. Let me know when it does, and I definitely will have you on again.
Yes. And if people want additional information, I am on social media under paullamarhunter.com. My website is paullamarhunter.com. Also, like I said, you can go out and get my mother book, and also you can go out and get my book, No Love, No Charity: The Success of the 19th Child.
Will do. And when you send it to me, I'll make sure I put it up so everyone can get that. But thank you for coming.
Hey, thank you for having me on as a guest, and I really appreciate you.
This is Dr. Sandi. Thank you so much for sharing your journey on The First, where no two stories are alike, even if the circumstances are similar. Let this discussion serve as inspiration for others to show what's possible, and more importantly, to produce seconds and thirds.